Drew Brees has been running the offense in New Orleans since 2006.
Ooh.
3 weeks and 1 day now.
Oh, you got a counter? You're counting
my
this
math
now?
is yes, because Sean Payton was on with us.
I know.
And he said with no equivocation, now again, it may be another John Lynch situation, but he said, he said we expect an announcement within a week to a week and a half. He said it.
I know.
We're 3 weeks and 1 day removed.
And there's
no announcement.
Right.
There's no announcement that Drew Brees is retired. And look, he's already slashed. He did what we suggested that Ben could do. If Ben really doesn't care about what he's making, all right, take your salary all the way down to the minimum. Drew's done that with no quid pro quo, no trade-off. It looked like just a gesture of goodwill to the Saints at a time when they're figuring out how best to manage the cap charge arising from the money paid to Drew Brees in the past. And when I saw that he dropped his salary with nothing in return from 25 to 1.075, creating $24.925 million in cap space for the Saints.
Right.
That's it. He's done. He's retiring. Why would you give up all that money all the way down to the minimum and get nothing back unless this is just a precursor to walking away and leaving the team in the best possible cap position after you retire? But he still hasn't. He still hasn't. And
so was it goodwill, or do you think it was a power play to kind of put the pressure on there?
I don't know. I
Right.
mean, here we are, 3 weeks and 1 day removed, and Shereen Williams and I were debating this a little bit last night on PFTPM. She's like, well, he's busy. He's got things going on. You want to pick the right time to have the retirement press conference and make the announcement. Well, that's fine, but 3 weeks and 1 day ago, he told Sean Payton was under the impression it was a week to a week and a half away. Now, maybe he was wrong. Maybe there was a miscommunication. Maybe circumstances have changed as to the timing of the announcement, but until the announcement is made, maybe the circumstances have changed as to whether he is going to retire.
Yeah, I know. That's what I think about. As of course, we get the text from Pete late last night as far as what the rundown is, and you start to think about these type of things, and one of the things that at least popped to my mind was just like, was Drew Brees, a little taken back by the fact that Sean Payton made that comment and tried to put pressure on the situation there. As we've seen over the last year or so, Payton has made many messages, cryptic messages, you're right, to go like, hey, yep, you're right. He's pushing buttons to kind of let you know. I feel like he's really kind of trying to talk to Drew and his camp to go like, this is the last year, right? Right? Like he's trying to say that. And I don't know where this goes. This is going to be interesting. It really is because, it looks like, with between what Mickey Loomis said, now he gets $1 million contract. The fan base is like, well, of course we want to bring Drew Brees back for $1 million. I mean, that would be great and all of that. So the pressure and everything goes back to the Saints now a little bit, and they're stuck here. So I'll be very interested to see where this goes. But, a lot like Big Ben, there's just, there's signs here with Drew Brees. A legend. Awesome. I mean, I'd do anything to have Drew Brees' career. Do anything. But I think being realistic, too, he's not the strength of the team anymore. That is where I guess I'd want to say. He is not like teams aren't going into playing the New Orleans Saints going, oh, man, we're playing Drew Brees this week. Man, we got to defend every part of the field, and how do we stop him and do all of that? No, that's shifted the last few years. It's certainly not that way anymore. And I think we could, we certainly could argue his inability to stretch the field and do things like that are certainly part of the reason of their, underwhelming playoff performances the last few years. So that's where this conversation gets, very dicey, interesting, controversial, everything.
49 regular season wins over the last 4 years, and they haven't made it to the Super Bowl. The only team to win that many games in a 4-year stretch in the regular season and not get to the Super Bowl. But I can't help but wonder whether or not Drew Brees witnessed what Tom Brady did in the postseason.
That's a good point,
team
Mike.
That the Saints swept, and it's just gnawing at him. It's driving him crazy.
Good point.
I can't walk away with my last game having been a loss at home to a guy that I swept, to a guy that I'd previously been 5-2 against. It was something skewed.
It was like that.
Brees.
You're right. Right.
That can't be the last chapter of my career. And he had a horrible passer rating that day, 38.5, I think was the number. That can't be the last chapter. He can't, because I think that Drew Brees is setting himself up for years of torment, wondering what if. And even if it's just a matter of him coming back saying, hey, look, Sean, I'll share the job with Taysom. I'll be the first and second down quarterback. You pull me on and off the field whenever you want. I don't care. Taking the $1.075 million, if he's using that as a precursor to saying, you know what, I am going to play, that's a gesture of, I'll do whatever you want. I just want to be part of a team that I still think is in this window to win a Super Bowl. And wouldn't it be great if we could find a way to maximize the assets we have and get to a Super Bowl and win it? And he's 41 and Brady's 43. And, we had the graphic up of the average target down the field. It's not like it's dropped dramatically. Drew Brees hasn't dramatically changed in recent years. It was the 2018 season in the postseason when they had that play drawn up for Ted Ginn and he underthrew it. We've known for a while that Brees hasn't had the ability to get the ball down the field. And maybe secretly the Saints have been wishing and hoping, or at least Sean Payton wishing and hoping, that Brees will move on. But I look at it this way. If there's chicken salad to be made out of this situation, Payton can do it. And if Brees decides he wants to play, what Payton has to ask himself is, do I finally have the talk with him? Or do I say, fine, let's do it?
Right.
That's the question that Payton's going to have to resolve. If Brees really is having second thoughts about something that we were led to believe is inevitable, then again, maybe it never was inevitable. Maybe someone was just trying to speak it into existence.
No, I mean, it's you're right. Sean Payton might have to have that talk with him. Again, even that, I mean, I don't know. I grew up in an era, too, where when you got to this point, too, that there was nothing wrong with going, no, you're going to have to win your job in training camp next year. You want to come back? All right, well, you're going to have to compete. We're going to see. Taysom Hill.
You literally grew up. You saw with your dad.
I know.
You ended up almost on the Browns.
I know.
Over it.
I saw all of it. I mean, we saw Joe Montana get thrown out of the window, the door by the 49ers. Like, see ya. Great. You won 4 Super Bowls 2 years later. Get the hell out of here. We're moving on. I mean, we've seen it everywhere. It's just not part of this era. But either way, I think what's, like you hit the nail on the head. He's never been like a big-time arm or anything like that. There's no doubt it's not been. But I do think within the last 2 to 3 years, it's become a little alarming because, 3 years ago, you still had to he might throw the deep post or the go route here. We can't just totally disregard it. We're getting to the point now where, hey, we got to throw it deep. We bring Taysom Hill in. Hey, we got to throw it deep and we need a touchdown. Bring Jameis Winston in off the bench to throw the trick pass. That's where it's gotten to. And there's too many games where you go, forget the deep passes, the 40 and the 45-yarders and all that. There's too many where we came back on Mondays during the year and we went, the 15 and 20-yard passes we're barely getting there. And they barely have enough steam on them to, get in a window or do anything like that. And to me, that's where it's concerning as compared. And I don't like sitting here saying this. I really don't. I don't even feel comfortable saying it about Drew Brees because he's so awesome. But that's the way I see it. And you know me, I study football and watch these guys all the time. And that's the problem for the Saints and their offense right now.
Well, this thing was supposed to be automatic, and it's been anything but. And until it's done, it's just like Ben Roethlisberger, to kind of finish where we started. Until we get the announcement that a new contract has been reached, securing Roethlisberger's status for 2021 in Pittsburgh, it's possibly going to fall apart. Until we get the announcement that Drew Brees is retired, it's possibly going to fall apart. And he's possibly going to try to play. And the Saints possibly are going to have to tell him, sorry, that ship has sailed.
Right.
And then Drew Brees is going to have to ask himself a question that he has resolved many times over by saying he would never play for a team other than the Saints. Would he play for a team other than the Saints? And I think this is a far cry from last year with Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers, because I think for the same reasons Ben Roethlisberger would have a hard time finding takers elsewhere. At this point,
yes.
3 years ago when Drew Brees became a free agent, and decided to stay with the Saints and not look around, it would have been a no-brainer. I was saying the Vikings should sign him instead of Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I was saying it loudly and clearly. I don't know that same sentiment is going to be out there for other teams, given where Drew Brees currently is. He's 41 years old, and that arm strength, that window, that range has been shrinking.
Right.
I don't see it happening that he would go anywhere other than New Orleans. He is an icon in New Orleans, which makes it all the more delicate for the Saints.
It definitely does.
If he decides he wants to give it one more go.
That's where I mean, I think, that's the difference in that situation. Like, Brady and Rivers last year, when teams evaluated them, there was still enough to go, man, they make plays. Brady's arm's still strong. Okay, yeah, he might have been reluctant to throw the ball down the field to some underwhelming cast of characters at receiver and do all that, but you could see there was still an arm to make plays and do that. Rivers, 2 years ago, his last year with the Chargers, there was still a number of plays where he went, wow, damn, that was a good play. Holy cow. Even Big Ben, there's a little of that still to where you go, whoa, that's a damn good throw. Whoa, Big Ben's is more about, is his health going to hold up? Or his legs going to hold up? Is he going to hold up? Is his elbow going to hold up? Brees is truly about, I don't know if there's just enough juice there on film. And that's where I think it's Saints or bust, to your point. And yeah, I'm interested to see how Sean Payton and the Saints approach this whole situation.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.